Do you get a lot of pinching or discomfort on the front side of your hip? I'm Dr. Israel, and I'm going to show you 2 simple strategies you can do to loosen up your hips, whether it's your tight hip flexors or your tight joint. So I feel some more tension on my left side, so that's what I'm going to start with. And for both these stretches, we're going to get into a half kneeling position where I have one leg out in front of me and one knee's down on the ground. Like I mentioned, my left side's a little tight, so I'll show this from the sides. So you can see I got both a 90-degree angle out in front of me and behind me. We're going to first start with stretching our tight hip flexors. Those are those muscles that attach on the lumbar spine and run down to the top of the hip here. So to perform this from this half kneeling position, what you want to do is drive forward. But as I lean forward, I'm not feeling much tension here. So to really perform and execute this stretch appropriately, what you want to do is think about tucking your tail between your legs or doing what we call a posterior pelvic tilt. Just doing this alone, I already feel increased tension through both my hip flexor, but also my quads at the same time. So as I hold that tucked position, I start to lean forward. Ooh, I feel a lot of tension here. So we're gonna rep this out for a solid 10. So just ease into that pressure, just give it a smooch, come right back. Don't French kiss this thing because it might not like it right now. Just easing in. And as I stretch for longer, I can go further and further. Feel like I'm really getting a nice stretch on the front side of my hips. All right, so that's stretch 1. That's a pure hip flexor muscle, a little bit of a quad stretch at the same time. The number 2 stretch is actually stretching our hip joint capsule, or think of those as the deep fibers of our hip joint. So to perform this, it's the same exact setup, but instead of tucking my tail between my legs, what I want to do is actually dump pelvis forward into an anteriorly pelvic tilted position. I'm going to step out a little bit further, and then now I'm going to help push my hips further. Side note, if you have any knee discomfort while in this half kneeling position, you can simply just take a towel, fold it up, and then put it right underneath your knee. All right, so to get the hip joint capsule, I'm in that wider stance, I'm dumped forward, and I'm driving those hips forward, and I can go a lot further because I'm not stretching the muscles. I'm stretching into the joint. Feel some tension here, deep tension. Just pressure on, pressure off. Pressure on, pressure off. I'm gonna do a solid 10 of these at the same time. Again, just going up to that tension, giving it a smooch. But as I rep this out, I'm gonna go further and further and further. After just 10 of each of those, your hips should be feeling pretty loose at this point, but I'm gonna give you some extra credit. There's a third stretch that if you can handle it, it's more effective than the last one. And that's the same stretch, but this time I'm gonna kick my foot outwards. So now I'm getting into more of an internally rotated position as I drive my hips forward. You're not gonna be able to go as far because you're closing down on that joint space more, but it's gonna target those deep joint capsule fibers more. Just so you can see it from behind, my better angle, half kneeling position, kick leg out, wide stance, pelvic tilted forward, driving hips forward, really living in that end range of hip extension and internal rotation. Get back up after that. Oh, I got so much less tension already. And doing all these stretches only takes a few minutes. So if you're feeling a lot of tension on one side, let alone both sides, here's 2 or possibly 3 if you can handle it. Exercises or stretches you can do to help loosen that tension. Now you can get quick results just doing 1 set of each of these, but if you spread this out throughout the day, think of doing 2 to 3 sets, especially if you have long-standing tension or chronic tension that's been there for a long time. It's going to take more than 1 set. So you really want to incorporate this stretch in your daily routine for at least a couple weeks to notice some real big changes. Do you have a bunch of hip tension or hip problems and want to know more exercises or stretches? Well, give this video a like, comment down below if you want to see more, and also subscribe so then you know exactly when that new hip video comes out. As always, get to stretching, y'all.